Okay, welcome everyone. It's 7 in the evening here over in East Africa, so whether it's morning or midday for you or evening, welcome. Um, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take a case that I had several years back, and I'm going to show the case and then kind of how to analyze the case and integrate the RadarOpus program in and show you kind of how the RadarOpus program can be used in order to help you find the remedy that you're looking for. Okay. So I'm going to jump back and forth between the PowerPoint presentation, text presentation of the actual case, which is it's short. I've abbreviated it just for time and for teaching purposes. And then I'm going to show another link that I find actually very, very helpful. I use the template quite often, and I also teach people and I urge people to use this template because it's extremely important. Um, and then we're going to jump back and forth as well to the radar program and look for appropriate rubrics in order to find the remedy that helped to bring about resolution in this case. So this was a case of an 8-year-old. I think this was back in 2016, and it was a child who developed a cough after a family member passed away. But we'll get into that. Okay. Next slide. So essentially the overview. What we really have to keep in mind, and I think this is more towards those of you who are newer to homeopathy, I would say, it depends on how many patients you see and how intense your training was. Um, but for most people, you're still really getting your feet wet in homeopathy and really trying to understand what is it that I'm trying to do 5 years in, 7 years in. You start to, this is a generalization, but people tend to kind of hit their stride in homeopathy. And I'm referring mainly to classical homeopathy, 7 to 12 years in, because we don't have the same training that they had 120 years ago, where you go and you apprentice, you go through medical training and you get the same degree of intensity and immersion into the art and science of homeopathy. These days, it's a lot more online. Um, the number of patients seen, unless you're in a place like India, where you can see 20, 30, 40 patients a day. Um, there was a place here in Tanzania, just south of me, where when we would go up and see Maasai, we would see 40 patients in 4 or 5 hours. So that can be pretty intense. But typically, in most practices, people are seeing 1 to 3, 4, 5. A busy day might be 7, 8 patients in a day. Um, so anyway, I want to go over what is the intention when you're sitting down with somebody, they're symptomatic, they're unwell, they're coming to you for help, right? The intention is that we're trying to understand, we're trying to gather information, and we're trying to parse out information that's what we call human specific, right? It's something it's either common to the disease or it's just common to shared humanity. And we're looking for the signs and the symptoms and the observations that lead us to the remedy state, the underlying remedy state that is the cause of the suffering of the patient. So we're gathering information, we're identifying what's homeopathically relevant information, right? And one of my teachers that I used to go to his seminars once a year for about 7, 8 years up until 2020. Um, he used to say you have to look for the bit that doesn't fit, the bit that doesn't fit, the thing that makes the case unique. And if you don't find it after 30 minutes or 40 minutes, in an acute, you start to hear kind of things that are strange or peculiar, and you kind of weigh things. Your ears perk up. You go, wow, I haven't heard that in 12 years or 15 years, or I've never heard that in practice. And that kind of lets you know that what you're hearing is not run of the mill, and it's something that you should really pay attention to. You make notes of it and try to find how that information directs you or points you to the proper homeopathic remedy. So you're looking for homeopathically relevant information, and then we want to analyze that relevant information. And the analysis is essentially um, turning the symptom into repertorial language, right? The repertoire is written in a particular language that is a study in and of itself. Um, and so one of the things, let me just jump over to the radar program. One of the things about the radar program that really is useful and it's powerful is the search option. Let me just get out of here. I was working on a case earlier today. Somebody I know got to a motorcycle accident and fractured their skull. Um, the search function is something I'll spend some time on because it can be extremely helpful. Because if you don't have the words in proper succession, you're not going to find the right rubric. But if you pick out one word that's kind of unique, and we'll look at one or a couple in the case, and you just put it into the search and you know which chapter you're looking in, you can find the rubric that you're looking for in a couple of seconds instead of trying to figure out the succession of the words, the order that you have to put the words in order to get to the proper rubric. You know, even after 23, going on 23 years, I still, there's some rubrics that I haven't used in 10, 15, 20 years, and I don't remember exactly how the wording goes. So I just use the search function to find it. Um, so essentially we're trying to ask, what needs to be cured in the case? And we have to keep asking that because sometimes when you're taking a case, curiosity doesn't need to be cured, but it can be an indication to a particular remedy. Or mildness. If somebody's extremely mild by nature, that doesn't necessarily need to be cured. Um, or if somebody's confident, that doesn't necessarily need to be cured. So we always have to kind of take the case and really continue to ask ourselves as we're case taking or even after we finish, what needs to be cured in this case? What needs to resolve so that the patient no longer suffers? What remedy state is underlying the case and the totality of symptoms? So I want to jump to Eugene Nash's book here. This is, and let me just move this over a bit. So this is on homeoint .org. It's a website that's essentially has free materia medica, free books on philosophy. It's just a resource of free information. And so I Googled how I know the name of the book, so I Googled how to take the case, and I put in Similimum and I put in EB Nash and Homeo INT, which is, I think it's homeointernational.org. And so this book here, you can also buy this book if you want it. But this is essentially, it's about a 45-page book, 48-page book. And it gives you the template that you can use to follow in order to build on, in order to understand how to take acute cases mostly. But sometimes you can even use this, you can apply this template to chronic cases as well. If you're not like using sensation method or, there's so many methods out there these days. But this is old school, it's tried and true, and it's kind of the nuts and bolts of homeopathic case taking. So it's a great place to start. It'll help to really build and solidify your foundation. So when he goes through here, he goes through location, right? I find this actually very useful, especially like in pneumonia cases. If it's the upper left lobe where there's consolidation or the lower right lobe, that information is actually very helpful in helping to solve the case. If you use this in conjunction with Pulford's book on uh, pneumonia, um, you'll see that the location of the pneumonia is extremely important. So he just gives some examples here for location, right middle chest, you get belladonna, sanguinaria, calcarea austerium, which is calcarb, um, lower right, upper left. So location is extremely important. It can be in most cases. Then you want to get into the sensation, right? He gives burning as an example. Burning is extremely common. Aching dull. They're all extremely common. I did a case last month and there was a sensation of trickling. Trickling is not common. And you can actually find if you type in and you go to the search function and you type in trickling, you'll find it in generals, a trickling sensation. Handful of remedies in there. Okay. So we're going to go over this again, but you want location. You want what are the sensations, right? And the more unique the sensations, the better for the case. You definitely want modalities. Modalities can make or break a case. Um, in this particular case that we're going to go over, modalities are extremely important. So, and modalities are essentially what aggravates symptoms and what ameliorates symptoms. And so I just want to take a second. We're not going to say if somebody says, "Oh, I just love sunny weather, the 72 degrees," right? That's not really modality because that doesn't, most people like fair weather, which is typically somewhat sunny, cooler weather, right? So it's not their preference, it's what changes, what makes symptoms better and what makes symptoms worse. Um, and the stranger it is, the more useful it is. If the person has to constantly hold their abdomen, you can go under generals holding ameliorates or holding the affected part ameliorates, or you can go under holding the abdomen ameliorates. If it takes their pain from an 8 down to a 4 or 2, you definitely want to use holding the abdomen ameliorates. So it can be a time modality, morning, forenoon, afternoon, evening, night. I actually had to do this yesterday with a cough case where I had to differentiate was the cough aggravated because it was nighttime or because they were lying down, right? Because we tend to, with the intention of going to sleep, we lie down in bed 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So when the person goes and lies down, is it because they were lying down that aggravated the cough? Or is it the time modality? Is it because it's evening? And so in the case yesterday, I had the adolescent lie down on the couch while I talked to the mother, no cough whatsoever. So it wasn't that lying is aggravating the cough, it's lying down in the evening in bed, and that's a separate rubric. So it's really important to make sure we truly understand what it is that's making a symptom better and making a symptom worse. And the other thing about it is if engaging in something like holding the abdomen takes the symptom from an 8 to a 7.5, I'm not really going to use that because that's not strong enough. But if it takes it from an 8 down to a 5 or less, then it's more of a modality that's ameliorating the symptom. So I would use it. So modalities, so location, sensation, modality goes through quite a few of those. Causations are always important, and we'll see in this case, there's a very, very strong causation. So we have to use that in this case. Um, and I ask in most acute cases and chronic cases, did anything happen prior to this? Oh, I lost the job. Okay, tell me about that. I got caught out in a cold rain. Okay, tell me more about that. So we really want to look at all possible causes, emotional causes. A modality could be as unique as a moon phase. Every time it's the waxing moon or the full moon or the new moon or waning moon, I get my symptoms. Most people aren't aware or they don't connect their symptoms to the phases of the moon, but as homeopaths we do. So causes, which we'll see in this case, extremely important. And then constitution and temperament. So we would really want to make sure that if we can see the temperament, and let me give you an example. If somebody is typically more sensitive and they tend to be more weepy, and in their acute, they're sensitive and weepy, we're not really going to pay too much attention to that because that's kind of their natural state, who they are. We might want to go look at more of a take a chronic approach to something like that. But that being sensitive isn't something that necessarily needs to be cured unless the sensitivity is overwhelming the individual. But in this case, we'll look at constitutions and temperament. Okay. And then he goes into generals, particulars. So anyway, I just wanted to, if you weren't aware of this book, this is a great book to have on hand. It's a great book to read, and you can read it for free here. How to Take the Case and Find the Simillimum by Eugene B. Nash, MD. So I just wanted to take a minute and go over that. Get out of here. So let's look at the case, and then we'll analyze it. And let's see. Put it here. Everybody can see that. So this is back in 2016, 8-year-old male, cough and asthma. So, and again, I abbreviated this just for time. And if anybody has any questions, you can just chime in and ask. It's okay to have a back and forth. And I'm essentially I'm doing this to help people to learn. So, learning happens through asking questions. So 3 weeks prior, this young man's favorite uncle had passed away, and he cried uncontrollably. He was inconsolable. And then this is when the cough started. So I want to go back here and just I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit here. The other thing that actually that Nash doesn't cover, but I like to, especially if they're in the case of concomitants. So we can see here in this particular case, a cause for this particular cough and asthmatic respiration are grief, right? It could be death of a loved one. It could be emotional excitement, right? What we have to remember here, let me just go to the repertory program. What we have to remember here is that synthesis is a synthesis of different doctors, and they use synonyms when they were developing the repertories. Some doctors like to use grief, others like to use death of a loved one. Typically, in death of a loved one, the feeling around that is grief. Some doctors like to use vexation. Some doctors like to use anger. So if I know that anger is in a case, like anger is leading to the asthma, I'll look up rubrics that have to do with vexation and anger and asthmatic breathing or difficulty breathing, and I will combine those. So in this particular case, we have the death of somebody that this person was really attached to. So I'm going to kind of I'm going to slow down a little bit here as far as the radar program goes. I'm not sure where everybody is as far as is this, did you just get radar a month ago? Have you been using it regularly for a year and a half or 6 months? I'm not too sure, but I'm going to go over this kind of broadly right now. So these windows here, these tabs, this is the open tab on I got a quick question. Hello. Oh, sorry. Let me just jump here real quick. Where's that chat? There it is. Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. So then I'll slow down when it comes to, so I've been using radar since 1999, maybe 2000. And the main impediment to taking the program and applying it to every case is knowing how to navigate it. All the information is here. It's how easily you can kind of flow through and find what you're looking for. That's really the power of the program. It's the amount of information you have available, and then kind of becoming familiar with it and learning how to find what you're looking for. So, okay, so let me see what else. Well, you're welcome. So these windows here, these are this tab is open right now because it's light blue. If I want to go to the search function, I can go here and now the search function is open. So there's two main windows that you can toggle back and forth between. There's here on the right, where you can look through repertories and materia medica, and your clipboards that you build will all be over here on the right side. Over here on the left, they're essentially patients. I'm not going to click on this because I have live patients here. You've got references, and depending on the level of radar that you have, you're going to have more or less different documents here. And you can search through all these materia medicas. I'm going to show you how. Um, so I have 644 documents and 1,105 volumes. And so here are repertories. So I've got my repertories here. I've got Adonis open. If I wanted to look in Murphy's, I can click on it here. And so this tab is this blue tab that's open. There's a little arrow here. If I click down, these are all my repertories that are open. Okay, I can close them all. I can put them display as preview. But if I want to jump back and forth between my open repertories, I can go here. So let's say I don't want to be in Murphy. I can either go to the repertories and click back on Synthesis Adonis, which is where I want to be, or I can just go to the drop-down window. This is what I typically do. I go to the drop-down window, I go to Adonis, and now I'm in Adonis. Okay. Before I get into Adonis, let me just close out the search function. So as you can see, the window on the left disappeared. If I want that to open back again, I go to the top of the toggle here and I double click on it. And when I double click on this, I can open it up. So if I just want to, I want the full screen for whatever it is I'm reading. If I'm reading Materia Medica, or if I want to have the radar program open, I double click here, and then it kind of kicks that window on the left that has all the patients, um, repertories, and Materia Medica. It closes that. If I want to open it back again, I just double click here. Okay. So the main thing here is the search function. It's really, really powerful, and it really helps you to navigate and get around. So there's a little arrow right there, and I'm going to click on that. And I personally, I don't use the simple search. I always use the advanced search. Simple search is this one, and it's just one area to put in a search for a particular word. You can look in different repertories. That's not enough for me. What I like to do is I go here, and this is the advanced search. Okay, so now I can search words here, and there's a title here, words in English. I can search remedies. I can search families. I don't use this very much. I typically use remedies, words, and I look in different chapters. So how can I open this? I can either make sure if this toggle is open, this tab is open, I go to the magnifying glass with three little dots. If it's not open, I go to the search function, I drop down, and here's advanced search. And so I click on that, and now I can do an advanced search. Okay. So the other thing that's really important here, so I can type in remedies. You should, as you type in, let's just type in silica. So I type in SIL, that's the abbreviation. You can put in silicum in compounds. There's silica aceticum, and then all these different salts of silica. I know from doing this that there's some remedies when you put in the abbreviation, you have to put in the period after to get to where you want to be. You can see silicas here, but if I didn't know it was there, if I put a period, then it brings up silica, the remedy. And it's still not open because this is still kind of shaded. So what I need to do is either press enter, or I click on this, it's still not shaded, and then I press enter. Now you see it's active because it's dark blue, and this one, so there's no remedy here. So now I can look for silica wherever I want, okay? I can also, this little blue dot that became active with the little arrow is a drop down. So if I click on it, it opens this. So it shows me a picture of silica. I can look for silica in different degrees. And And I can look in rubrics that have more than a particular number of remedies, less than, or equal to. Um, and I can look in rubrics with less than or equal to remedies with certain degrees. So there's many different ways you can tweak how you want to search for silica. So as an example, let me get rid of grade 2 and grade 1, okay? And if we're not sure, let me just close this out for a second, just to go over the grading. So let me think, vertigo, looking out the window. So if it's all black like this is a grade 1. Grade 2 is italics in blue. Grade 3 is red and bold. And grade 4, which is the highest grading, is red, bold, and underlined. And this also has what we call a Kunzli note or a Kunzli dot. And Kunzli found, so Jos Kunzli was a homeopath that had a really successful practice. And in his practice and going through the repertory, there were certain rubrics, and this is absolutely true. There are certain rubrics that are useless. I never use them. Even if I hear it in the case, I'm like, I don't use that rubric because it's not reliable. It doesn't help me to solve cases. And then there are some rubrics that are absolutely, if I hear it, I go, okay, the remedy's going to be in this rubric, in the symptom that I know where to turn it, how and where and how to turn it into a rubric. So Jos Kunzli put these little red dots that are in Radar, Opus, and Adonis. And so if you see it, you know that most likely, like if you have a patient that said, every time I look out the window, I just get so dizzy. This is the rubric, looking out the window under the vertigo chapter, looking window out of. And this is I was talking about the sequence of the wording. Like if you type vertigo in window, nothing's really going to come up. You have to do vertigo. What are they doing? What's the verb? They're looking. And then where are they looking? Are they looking steadily? Let me just back up here for a second. I'll come back. So there's looking, when looking backward, they get dizzy. When looking downward, when looking at a movie, into a mirror, at moving objects. That's actually a good rubric. I've used that for many cases. Looking steadily, and there's looking out of a window. So I can just click on that. And so Jos Kunzli found that this particular symptom was extremely, extremely strong in Natmir. So we can see that Kent has put Natmir here as a grade 4. It's bold, it's red, and it's underlined. And Jos Kunzli's put a dot there. I can show you another one if you look under face. And if you want to know how I'm doing this, there's just so much to cover. What I'm doing is I'm typing in face, and this is what I'm doing. So these binoculars here, this will show you all your chapters. So this is essentially your book. And these are each of the chapters. There's a mind chapter. We were just in the vertigo chapter looking out windows. Here's head, eye, vision. And you have to get familiar with how the body's broken down in order to know how to navigate. And they're, okay, this person says they have a symptom there. What part of the body is that? So having a working understanding of anatomy and physiology is very important. If I don't want to go here, then click on, I have to look for face, and then oh, there it is, and click on face. And then you have all these words here. Now the word is cracked, cracks. Okay, oh, cracks in the lips. Oh, it's the lower lip, and it's the middle of the lower lip. Oh, look, there's a Kunzli dot. And there's Nat Mirror, and it's a grade 3 with a Kunzli dot. Okay, here's another Kunzli dot. So Kunzli, essentially what he's telling us here is if you have a patient and they either have it while they're sitting in front of you, so it's a sign because you're observing it, or they report to you that they frequently get a crack at the lower lip right here, split right in the middle. Your remedy's probably going to be in there, the curative remedy for the case, because that's a very strong symptom according to Jos Kunzli. So that's where the Kunzli dot comes from. So when I want to navigate, I know different parts of the body. So with radar, all you have to do, if you're in the synthesis tab, which is open, you just start typing. So let's say the urine, the patient's out, my urine, it smells so strong. It just smells like ammonia, or if you know the remedy there, it smells like horse's urine. It's a very strong smelling odor. All I'm going to do is I'm going to type in urine, and there it is. You can see urine and urinary. It's already, the box is around urine, so I press enter, and then odor. I just put OD and odor comes up, and the hand here is pointing at odor. If I wanted odorless, I'd have to go down one, but it's pointing at odor, so I just press enter. And here is ammoniacal, which is very strong smelling like ammonia. And I said horse's urine. And the key remedy for that is there's nitric acid and benzoic acid. Those are the two that come to my mind. So you have to know what horse's urine smells like in order to know when and how to use this rubric. So I'm just showing you this to kind of show you how to navigate the repertoire. If I want to go to generals, I just start typing in GEN. There's generals. I press enter. Let's say I want to type in wander, a pain that kind of move constantly. The pain's moving around. One time it's in the right temple, and then it kind of moves down to the maxillary area on the right, and then it kind of shifts over to the pain moves over to the left shoulder. That's what we call a wandering pain. So generals, pain. I just typed in PAI. You can see where I'm typing that. It's letting me know I'm on pain. So I press enter, and then start typing in WAN, wandering pains. I press enter. Sharp point moving all around. No, suddenly, no, I don't want that. I just want wandering. So here are 204 remedies that have wandering pains. Okay. And these little flags are very useful. They give you definitions or they give you clinical presentations. The blue ones, and if you want to keep it open, you go over the blue and then you slide your mouse over the little box that opens up, and it gives you a definition. Erratic, shifting, migrating, changing places. So that's what wandering pains are. It's very useful and just kind of helps you to kind of tie everything together. Some have a black flag. Let me think. So I want to go to the mind chapter. So I'm going to start typing in mind, M-I-N, and there's mind. Let me see. Maybe deceitful. I'm just typing in deceitful, enter, enter. And there's a blue flag. So it gives you definition: duplicity, sly, tricky, wily, crafty. And then there's a blue flag, sly, and then there's a black flag. And then this kind of gives you information on what you'll see clinically, how it kind of presents the particular symptom. Not all rubrics have these flags, but many of them do. So if you ever see a blue flag or a black flag and you want a little more information, just drag your mouse over it. And then if I want to go down, I just kind of go grab it here and kind of go down. Anyway, so that's that. Search function. Let's kind of go back to where we were. I know I'm jumping around, but there's so much to know, and this is really a work in progress. So I'm trying to go slow. If I'm going a little too fast, please ask me to slow down. I can. So this is where you put remedies. And let's say I just want to look at silica and I want to look, I just want to see silica and I want to look in all the repertories. And remember, I want to take out the grade 1 and the grade 2. So I want to see all the red bold and the red bold with the underline. Okay, so that's the grade 3 and the grade 4. I press OK. So now it's going to look for silica. Now I have to tell it where to look. Let's say I just want to look in the head chapter. So I just type in head. Then the one that's all caps, that's the one I typically use. So all caps. You notice it hasn't activated yet. So I have to press enter. So it'll go down to the next. There we go. Now it's going to look for silica in grade 3 and grade 4 in the head chapter. Let's also look in the mind. So I type in mind. I go to the one that's all caps. I press enter. So now it's going to look for silica in the head and the mind, and grade 3 and 4. And let's just do one more. Let's type in stomach. Go to all caps, enter. Now we need to tell the computer, do the search that I want you to do. So we go here, search in all repertories. Do I want to look at all repertories? I could. Or, so this is there's a drop down window right here. See this little caret? It's kind of facing downward. You click on that. Current documents only. All documents. That means it's going to look in all the materia medica, all the repertories, all open documents, all repertories, open repertories, or repertories of this particular type, repertories, concepts. So you can really kind of narrow where you want to look for this information. Oops, I don't want references. It's not going to let me look in references anyway because we're looking for grade 3 and 4, and that's just for repertories. So let me go back. If I do. All right. So what I want to do is I want to go to all repertories or open repertories. Just go to all. So that I've given it the command to go into, right? Yeah, I did. To go into all repertories. And so here in Boger, there's 112 entries where silica is a grade 3 or a 4. NER pretty much put most of his remedies in grade 3s and grade 4s. If he assigned it to a symptom, a very specific symptom, it's probably in a grade 3 or 4 for many of them. Murphy, and there's Schroyen. So if we want to stick with Adonis, we want to stick with synthesis. It synthesizes a lot of Boger, Kent, Murphy. Let's just, for simplicity's sake, let's just stay here with synthesis, okay? And this is that repertory that even in Pulford, there's 26 entries for silica, and the repertory for pneumonia, which again is a very good, useful book for pneumonia cases. So what do we have here? So we're in Schroyen, Adonis. There's 182 results. So there are 182 entries where silica is a grade 3 or 4 in the head, the mind, and the stomach chapter. And it's going to go according to the repertory. So it's going to give you the mind first, the head next, and then the stomach. So ailments from anticipation. We know that silica has a strong issue with anticipation. So we've got silica here. BG is Boger. So these are the authors that have corroborated or have confirmed that silica should be in this particular rubric. And these are the references. So we've got Magliavori, who's a contemporary Italian homeopath. Boger, Fatak. This is Pierre Schmidt, and you can double click Carl Stauffer. So if you want to know who it is, you just click on it. Oops. So I jumped into Murphy version 3. So what did I do? It brought me into here. I accidentally overclicked on it. So I want to go back to the search function. So here's my search tab. I just click on that once, and then it brings me back to where I was. So if you want to know who the authors were for here, KR is Ner, Calvin Ner here. So you're going to see mostly Boger, Kent, Patak, Magliavori, if you have the newer updated versions. So carefulness, concentration difficult. So this is a perfect example of a rubric that's just become too big. Concentration difficult, silica's a grade 3, 589 remedies. Way too many remedies. I can double click on this if I want to go to it and look and see what else is there. But typically anything over 150 to 200 remedies is starting to get, in my experience, too big. Remember with the radar program, not what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So if you put very reliable homeopathic information into the program, you're going to get very reliable information back. If you put a bunch of information that's not homeopathically relevant, and there's a lot of human-specific, disease-specific symptoms, you're going to get the same remedies coming up over and over and over again. So anyway, this is how to search the different repertories for silica. Then you have restless internal. There's your Kunzli dot. I want to look at this. Just double click on that, and it's taking me out of the search tab and brought me back over to the repertory tab. And it's in Adonis. And remember, there's a drop-down window. I can look in Boninghausen or Boricki or Murphy version 3. These are some of my favorite repertories that I use. So internal restlessness, arsenicum is a grade 3, rustox 3, silica 3. And then they give you the sub-rubrics under here, and you've got your authors. You can get rid of these. Like some people don't want to, they don't really care who the author is. I do. I feel like some authors are more reliable than others. But if I didn't want to see the author, I can go here. He says hide the author with remedies. So I can click on that. And now all the authors are gone. It just gives you the remedies. I can get rid of those. Some of these have tabs underneath them. Let's see if I can find. Like, what is this? Restlessness during lascivious thoughts, graphites. These are little tabs that'll take you to rubrics that are similar, right? Um, so I can click on that and I can combine those if I want. If I don't want these blue tabs that take me to other, I can get rid hide the tags. And now there are no tabs, but I like to look at information. I like to be able to have more information at my fingertips. So I'm going to open these back up. So now, before menses, restlessness before menses, menses before. This is just the mind chapter. So if I double click on that, it takes me to mind, menses before. I like the authors, so I'm just going to put the authors back. I don't know why anybody would, these are taking the remedies out. I don't know why you'd want to take the remedies out of the rubrics. That's what the rubrics are there for, to put you in the ballpark of the remedies. Very simply, the way that you add, so these are your clipboards here, and these are how you build your cases. So for me, I use a Mac, so I'm just going to bring the mouse over before. I'm going to hold the mouse down, and then I just drag it over and I can drop it. The other way to do it is if the hand is here, you click here and it says take the current rubric. So let's just, I'm going to double click on alcoholism before menses. There's selenium. Kent and Roger Morrison have confirmed this. So if I want to add that, I just click on this here. And I want to look there in the clipboard, click on it. And so this is the tab now. I'm in the clipboard tab. I double click and it opens it up for me. And what we have here is mind, menses before. There's 84 remedies in there. You can change how you want to analyze these. I like to look at I like the remedies that are the higher grading, grade 2, 3, 4. I want those more at the front of the line. And then the lower grading will be further down. I'm not going to get into too much more about how to analyze the different rubrics you choose right now. We'll stick with kind of the tabs and how to navigate the program. So right now I'm in the tab. If I put a patient's name, the patient's name would be here. You could do that by going to patients, and then you can click open, create a new patient. So there's just another caret pointing downward here. I can open list of patients. I can go to create a new patient. And if I created the new patient, I put in the information and saved it. Their date of birth and their name and everything would be there. And then that would be at the heading. That would be at the heading here. So there's so much more to explore as far as just the ins and outs. And it's not easy to remember all this. So I'm not going to get into too much more, but let's go back to the case. Right? So we have a causation here in this child. Favorite uncle dies. He cries uncontrollably and inconsolable. So we have a causation for him. So what I want to do is I want to go to the repertory. I click on the tab for the repertory that I want, the tab that has the repertories that are open. And so I'm just going to go to mind, because I know mind, ailments from. We know he's suffering from grief. So I can either grab this with my mouse, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to pull it over here, grief. So ailments from grief in there. Let's just take a quick look at that. Here's your ailments from grief. There's a little black flag. You can click on that and they kind of give you presentation. They fall ill after grief and not fear. You have to be very specific when you pick an ailment from. It has to be very clear. Ever since this happened, these symptoms have appeared. If somebody experiences a death and they're a bit sad about it, it's normal to be sad over a death. There's a normal grieving process. It is not specific or indicative of any particular remedy. It's when they get stuck. That's when we really have to, we can strive to pay attention and kind of put a case together. The other thing I said we can look at, so what I'm going to do is backspace. I'm just going to press delete or backspace, ailments from, and there's emotions. Let's enter. Right, so this child lost a family member, became extremely emotional, and developed this difficulty with breathing. So I'm just gonna, I can either, again, I can click on this. I want this clipboard. So I can pull it here. I'm just grabbing it and dragging it and dropping it. So ailments from emotions, ailments from grief. I'm gonna backspace. And then I'm gonna type in death of a loved one. And so you have death of a loved one, and then by an accident. Some of these are a little too specific. Death of a child, death in children, of the husband. I think death of a loved one is broad enough. So there's bereavement. I'm just going to grab this rubric. I'm going to put it there. And part of this is just kind of going through the repertorial exercise. So I'm going to click on my, so I've got ignatia, and it's going to present a certain way: phosphoric acid, staph aureus, lachesis, natmir, opium, right? You've got all your remedies here. What you can do is you can click. See, I just clicked on it once and it turned blue. I hold down Command, click on it again, click on it again. They're all blue. And then I right click, or with the mouse, a Mac, you just kind of hold one finger down and click on the pad. And then this window opens up. And I can group. So what I can do is I can group all three of those rubrics. So instead of having three separate rubrics and weighing ignatia all the way at the top, ignatia will still be up at the top, but it's not being weighed so heavily. The remedies that are grade 3s and grade 4s won't be weighed so heavily because they're being represented as a grade 3 or 4 in three separate rubrics. You can combine those all if you'd like. You can group them, you can change intensity, you can change qualifications. I don't want to get into that right now. It's probably best for another time. So we have a causation in this case. So then we go, so what happened? So he's having these fits of, and we have to use some antiquated terms. And when you have somebody that's weeping and sobbing and they can't catch their breath and they're inconsolable, the term that we use in homeopathy is hysterics or hysteria. And so this young boy is becoming hysterical. The other synonym that we're going to use when we go to the cough is a nervous cough. This cough is not being caused by a virus or a bacteria, because of his nervous system has been put into an excited state because of the emotion. And so we can use the rubric cough nervous. Okay, and we'll get there. So he has difficulty. So this is an example where some doctors, when they were building up their repertory, they used, let me just go to show you what I'm talking about. So again, binoculars, I can click on that and it takes me to the chapters, or I can just type in respiration, enter. So some doctors considered shortness of breath difficult respiration. So difficult. And then you have all these sub-rubrics. And some doctors considered difficult respiration asthmatic. And there's 450 remedies here, and under difficult, 647. So there's a lot of overlap, okay? So we're not going to just use difficult respiration or asthmatic respiration. Too big, too broad, nothing in that at this point that points us to a remedy. So he has difficulty or asthmatic breathing on windy days when he's walking into the wind. So this is what we call a modality, right? It's not just that it's windy, the wind is blowing around him. It's when he's walking into the wind. So this is a good example where if you don't know the series, how you have to put the words in order to find the right rubric, let's put windy in. And we know, So I'm going to press the X to get rid of silica. We don't need the head chapter. We don't need the mind chapter. We don't need the stomach chapter. What we need is respiration. All caps. I want to look in there. And we want to look in wind, right? Because when he's walking into the wind, the other place we want to look, I do this a lot, and a lot of doctors will do this. You'll find most of what you're looking for in a specific chapter like respiration. But guess what? If you're looking for modalities, you should also look in generals, always, because you're going to find several, almost always you'll find a handful to a couple dozen to several dozen more remedies under generals under the same rubric. So let's look under generals, right? We want to keep we want to cast a relatively wide net. We don't want to narrow down too quickly too soon. So we're going to look at wind, and there shouldn't be too many. And we're looking in all repertories, and we're looking into the respiration chapter, the generals chapter, and the word wind. So we have 50 entries in synthesis. Ner's got 7, Murphy's got 26. So he doesn't have arrested respiration, which means his breathing stops. He's got asthmatic. So I'm going to take this rubric. I'm just going to grab it. I'm going to hold my mouse down and pull it over and put it in that. Let's see, asthmatic, windy weather, difficult. So you see some doctors put asthmatic when walking against the wind. Others put difficult when walking against the wind. Which one is right? Let's put them both in and then we'll combine them. So respiration difficult, walking against the wind. And then something that Boger and Boninghausen do is they'll give you what the modality does. So walking into the wind aggravates, it causes asthmatic breathing or difficult breathing. And then sometimes you back up a little bit and it just has the chapter, respiration chapter, and modality. So here we have walking against the wind. There's one remedy, it's cuprum, and that's Boninghausen. Asthmatic, walking against the wind. And so if I put the mouse over it, you've got cuprum, Herring, in Kent, Knapmere, Boger. And then difficult. This rubric has 14 remedies in it, so I'm kind of leaning more towards that. I'm making sure that's in there, and I'm going to combine all these. And then there's north wind, and then generals. Walking in the wind aggravates. There's weather, wind, cold, dry, desires to be wind. So walking in the wind aggravates. There's 28 remedies there. So I'm going to drag that into the clipboard. So now we've got all this grief and emotions and as causative factors. And where's Ignatia? It's been pushed down here because let's drag this over. It has nothing to do with walking in the wind, right? So what we need to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this, hold down the command key, and I'm going to click on all three. So they're now all highlighted. I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to go to group or combine. I want to create a new symptom combining the remedies and the selected and combine. So it's going to take all those. We've got a total now of 36 remedies, which is a really good size rubric, kind of strange symptom, which is homeopathically relevant. And when you combine them, you get a little asterisk here to let you know that it's not a standalone rubric that you can just find in the repertory. It's a combination of different rubrics. So now we're looking at lachesis, nux, Knapmere, pulsatilla, kind of go down the line. Okay. The cough is very short and dry. Those are relatively big rubrics, not very useful unless there was something about that. So again, I'm just clicking on the tab. I know I want to look in the cough chapter, so I'm typing cough, enter, dry, 521 remedies, not useful. I'm going to back up or delete, type in short, 187. kind of useful, but not really, right? We got to find other things that are kind of strange or peculiar about this. So what did I say earlier? I said that this cough is not a cough, not an infective cough. It's not a cough because of an infection, right? It's a cough because of the nervous system. The nervous system is irritated, it's on edge because of the emotional state. So we use cough, nervous. Press enter, and here you have your remedies. There's capsicum, very good cough remedy. Typically the breath is horrible in a capsicum case. So I'm just going to drag nervous cough over into my clipboard. So this is where I'm building my case, right? So we're not going to repertorize short or dry because it's not very useful. Has a hard time breathing with coughing. So what we're going to look for, we'll do a search, okay? I go to the search tab. I'm going to get rid of those, get rid of wind. So I'm going to type in respiration and cough and see. And I want to combine. So I search words in English, words in the same paragraph, at least one of these words with all of the words within 2 words. I want both of these words together. And this wording here is mostly for the materia medica, but it can also apply to doing searches in the repertories. So I want to look up respiration and cough. And then I would look in all repertories. So it's going to look up the rubrics that have both the word respiration and cough in the same rubric. So respiration accelerated, no. Respiration arrested. Let me just double check on the exact rubric I used. It was, I think it was asthmatic accompanied by cough. I can use that one. Asthmatic accompanied by nervous cough. Let's put that one in there. We're going to combine a couple of smaller rubrics together. That's what's good about the grouping function is you can take smaller rubrics, and if you just picked one, you might miss the remedy because it could have been in the other 2 or 3, rubric number 2 or rubric number 3 that you didn't use or focus on. Respiration difficult during cough. So let's go there. And it says respiration difficult cough during, and there's a little blue, that's this here, this little tag that takes you to the actual rubric. So if you have this off like this, that disappears. So you go, oh, there's aggravation, but there's nothing there. You click on the tab and you double click on that. Now you've got respiration difficult accompanied by cough. So this is saying that with his cough, he's having difficulty breathing. And this is true in this case. Okay. So we're going to take that and drag that in. And there are 123 remedies. So we're getting up there as far as remedy size. So is there anything else in the search function? Was it gasping? We could impeded, obstructed. We can use that because he's having a hard time. And these again, the reason there are rubrics here under like impeded, arrested, obstructed, difficult, asthmatic is because this is synthesis. This is a combination of different repertories, and they wanted to keep the language and the words that these different doctors used. They wanted to keep them true to each separate repertory that's synthesized into this. So what we can do to kind of overcome that is find the synonyms, right? Difficult, asthmatic synonyms, and we can combine them. So impeded, obstructed, I'm just going to take that and put that in there. And I think that's good for now. So we'll take asthmatic. Remember, I'm just holding down the command key, clicking on each one of these, right click, group, enter, combine. The cough is worse after drinking anything and emotions. Okay. So this is a good modality. Cough worse after, so it has something to drink, it triggers the cough. So what we need to do Go to synthesis, and go to the cough chapter, type in cough, drinking, enter. There's aggravates, there's one remedy. That's not what we're not talking about. There's cough, drinking ameliorates. That's not what we're talking about. So we go to after, 49 remedies. So that's good. That's a good size. Okay, I'm just going to pull that in there. What was the other? The emotions. So the other thing is, there with this cough, or I actually won't cough. I'm going to type in the word hysterical. So these are people that when they get really emotionally upset, it's not just crying, because under the cough chapter, we've got cough, emotions, aggravates. These are people that get upset. So they're angry, they're vexed, they're anxious. You know, if it says emotions aggravates the cough, they're not specifying which emotion. They're just saying emotions. Then there's crying, cough, crying aggravates. That's a little different, very similar, but different. And then there's hysterical cough. So I want to look at the rubrics that have cough and hysterical in them. And I want to look at all repertories. And cough, attacks of hysterical coughing. Okay. I happen to know because I know the curative remedy, but I'm sharing this with you because the remedy is in this particular rubric. Attacks of hysterical coughs. And then I'm just curious to look at nerves got 157. So mind, hysteria, loud barking, cough. You can get lost in nerves work. It's just amazing, amazing stuff. He needs to be held during his coughing fits. He'll start crying and sobbing about his deceased uncle, then the coughing starts. That's just telling us that there's a huge emotional component to this. So he wants to be held. So he doesn't want to be carried, and we have to, so that, again, we're differentiating. Wanting to be held and wanting to be carried are both in the mind chapter. But in this case, he doesn't need to be picked up and carried around. He just needs to be held. So held means he could be sitting on the lap. He could be picked up and held. Carried means you're being carried and walked around. So, and then I just want to show you here. Let's go to the mind chapter because that's where it is. So I want to look at the word held and mind. It's getting over some laryngitis. Clinging wants to be held. It'll take you to the proper rubric. Delusions, there's no delusions here. So I'm just kind of sliding down. Desires to be held and being held ameliorates. You see the difference there? Desires to be held means they want to be held. So you can hold them. Doesn't necessarily mean it ameliorates their symptoms. And that's what we have in this case. It's not ameliorating his cough, but he wants to be held. Mind held ameliorates. Being held means when they're held, their headache gets better. When they're held, their nausea gets better. When they're held, the diarrhea gets better. You understand that being held ameliorates means that it's a modality, meaning the symptoms get better. Desires or wanting to be held means that they want to be held in this particular state. So this is the one we're actually going to use. So we can just drag that one over. Okay. So his mom reports episodes of absent-mindedness where he stands there for a minute, seems lost or confused. He won't answer when spoken to in these episodes. They're happening 2 to 3 times per week since the uncle's passed. So this absent-mindedness, if we just go to mind, absent-mindedness, it's huge. The mind, I'm just typing in mind, enter. Absent-minded, 378 remedies. There are some, so it's inadvertence, inattentive, preoccupied. There's several rubrics that we can use actually for this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the mind chapter, the words, he's not always absent-minded. It's happening in these little stages. So it's happening periodically. Stands. I'm just going to put in a couple of smaller words so we can find the rubrics. that we need. What else was there? There's something else about remains fixed in one spot. And then the other one was inattentive. And this is for people that are unobserving about their surroundings. So I don't want all these words. Otherwise, there's no rubric that has all of these words together. And if I have all of these words, nothing's going to come up. So I'm going to go to at least one of these. So now it's going to go to the mind chapter and look up periodical, standing, fixed, and inattentive in every rubric that at least one of these words appear. Again, we go to the drop-down window, all repertories. I'm going to stick with Adonis. Searching. So Adonis has 102. Absent-minded periodical, short attacks of absent-mindedness. I happen to know that the remedy is there. This is also, so doing an exercise like this also helps you to kind of look at the verbiage and see how words are laid out to help you kind of, if you don't know the repertory or language, you have to learn it. So searching for it and finding these really long rubrics and how the words are placed kind of helps you to kind of reprogram your mind to think in repertory or language. Stands in one place and never accomplishes what he undertakes. Look how many rubrics I use. So we'll just put that in there. Anxiety, with nothing about anxiety. And it wasn't confusion of mind. So you can see that I'm searching and it's finding stand, fixed, and inattentive. So and it highlights the word that you're looking for. Inattentive. So that's one of the words we're looking for, and it will take you to unobserving. Stupefaction remains fixed in one spot. That's not telling you that it's periodical. That means that the person is in a state of stupefaction and they're just fixed and they're just in one spot. So that rubric doesn't actually, the remedy's in there, but it doesn't describe exactly what's happening. The periodicity is much more accurate and describe what was happening in this particular case. Unconscious periodical remains fixed in one spot. He's not going unconscious in the sense that he's collapsing or falling to the ground. Unobserving, inattentive. And you see here, there's a blue flag and a black flag. So it gives you a definition. And then the black flag kind of tells you about how the patient will present. Okay. Let me just drag that into the clipboard. I just for time's sake, and this is why I kind of narrowed the case down or edited it. There wasn't really anything of note. And so based on the repertorization, he was given the remedy in 200C, 5 pellets once, and it took him within a week, he was out of the coughing wasn't happening. So ailments from grief, ailments from emotions, ailments from death of a loved one, walking in the wind makes it difficult to breathe, a nervous cough, respiration difficult with cough, cough worse after drinking, hysterical attacks, desires to be held, the absent-mindedness, short-lasting attacks of absent-mindedness, and unobserving. And we've got the remedy Nux muscata, which is nutmeg. Let's see, we're done with this. Let's close this out. And then let's go back. Let's see, we went through the case. So we go if we want to go back to the template of Eugene Nash's, the location, the mentals, right? We've got these hysterical fits, we've got the grief, we've got the emotional excitement, death of a loved one, and it's affecting the chest and the lungs, shortness of breath and cough. And also the mental state where there can be these periodical, they could be just absence seizures where he's just, you know, he's not present. You try to talk to him and he goes through these very short periods or phases where you're not able to talk to him. Modalities worse in the wind after drinking would trigger the cough, emotions, grief, hysteria, concomitants. We didn't really see many strong or unique concomitants here, but cough with shortness of breath would be a concomitant. Coughing with watering of the eyes is a really good one. Coughing, where every time the cough happens, the headache is so intense, the person has to hold their head. Very, very useful for bryonia and nux vomica and so on. Those are good concomitants. Causation, grief, and death. And then let's just touch on the temperament. This young child has a constitution temperament, hysterical and nervous in childhood. So you might say, well, what does that mean? So let's go to constitution. Constitution, and then put in hysterical. Well, actually, let's do this. We know you can look up different constitutions. Let me just put in constitution and then go to all repertories. And you'll see, and Murphy's got 1,321, Ner's got a bunch. You can go and study these, allergic constitution, alcoholic constitution, so on and so forth. We know the remedy. It's Nux moscata. So I click on that. And remember, you have to click enter in order to make it blue, so it's active. This is not active, even if I typed in like, there's opium. I click on opium, it's not active because this isn't blue yet. So let me just go back, get rid of that. So I want to look up Nux moscata, and I want to look up the constitutional types of Nux moscata, which is nutmeg. I go to all repertories. He has allergic constitution, delicate constitution, and this is Roger Morrison and Patak. Ner has feeble constitution, stages of life constitution in children, so it's a big children's remedy. Why? It's in the typhoid miasm. Typhoid miasm has to do with adolescents, excuse me, not adolescents, toddlers and toddler to childhood ages. So we've got stages of life constitution. These are all an area in the repertory for NER where you can go and look and study different types of constitutions. Old people with dyspepsia, old men with weakness, women hysterical. Let's go to Murphy. Alcoholic constitution with headaches, elderly, hysterical constitution, and that's what we have here. Nervous constitution. Okay. So sluggish, torpor, sluggishness of the body, things aren't working the way they should. So we have the remedy. We could do a differential. What Ignatia would be a cough after grief. Somebody would just say, oh, just give Ignatia. Well, Ignatia doesn't cover the uniqueness of the case. Ignatia and Nux are both in the Lobinaceae family. Nux is typhoid miasm, Nux moscata is typhoid miasm. So you would definitely need to do, if you're sharing the same miasm and you've got different plant families, but you would definitely have to do a differential. But Nux moscata is covering things in the case that Nux vomica is not. So, and then if you want to study the remedy, let's just go to hysterical attacks. If any remedy you want to study the materia medica on, the quickest way is just go to the remedy, you double click on it. And then here you have Boger. It gives you the region, the mind, sensorium, digestion. It gives you worse from, better from, gives you a description. If you want to change that, you can. You can go to the more Archibald. Archibald is it's kind of a modern version of a material medic synopsis. So you can study these, any of these, Allen, Lippe, Boger, Archibald. And studying them from different angles, you kind of really learn the materia medica that way. Absent-mindedness, sleepiness is a big thing. Dryness is a big thing. Chilly, dryness of the mucous membranes, dryness to the point where the tongue sticks to the roof of the mouth. This would be a good remedy for Sjogren's disease, a lot of dryness of the mucous membranes, especially if there's a lot of sleepiness. Anyway, that's just kind of how you can study the materia medica. If you want, you can go to the search function. You've got Nux moscata, and you can just go to all references. And then you can go, you want to study if Allen's your favorite, or Boger's your favorite. These are the different entries. Herring. I happen to like Fatak. I like Vermeulen. These are the keynotes. These are really good if you just want to kind of see, does the keynote description match the essence of the case? If you want to find something, so let's look up, let's just look up the word hysterical. And let's look in the references, not the material, not the repertory, but references. So now it's going to look up Nux moscata. And so we have this remedy is indicated in nervous, hysterical people. And the patient is hysterical. Benefits of nervous, dry, hysterical cough. That's what Blackwood says. You can go to Clark, women and children of nervous, hysterical temperaments. We had a child of nervous, hysterical temperament. Lippe, hysterical paroxysms, hysteria with sudden changes in disposition. Go to Vermeulen. So you can type in a particular word that you feel like is unique to the case. Maybe it indicates it's the word comes up 6-7 times describing a particular headache. The word comes up to describe a constitution or temperament, and you want to look at that word and the remedy you're studying and see what does it look like? What's the original text in the materia medica? And you can find those words by using the search function, which is, again, probably the most powerful aspect of the computer program. So we kind of went through that. These were some of the rubrics that I used. Nux moscata, you see in this one, cough arrested during cough. This was another repertorization that I did in preparation for this presentation, just kind of showing you cough, dry, with sudden loss of breath. It's the only remedy there. So again, we see a connection between difficulty breathing and cough, cough after drinking, hysterical, nervous coughs. So this is kind of a repertorization to show you how Nux moscata is. And of course, you'd study that there's ignatia and Nux vomica, cancer miasm, typhoid miasm. So you would definitely have to do a differential on these 3 remedies in this case. I kind of touched on the remedy and how to get through the materia medica. Materia medica is vast. I showed you how to double click and then kind of search the materia medica, and you can do different searches for, let's say, dryness, hysteria, hysterical, sleepiness, lost, confused. We do know that Nux moscata, they feel lost. That whole family, plant family of remedies gets this kind of confused, lost, otherworldly feeling. So I type in lost. You'll see. I'm going to look in the repertory. We could look in repertory and materia medica. So we see here, loses his way in well-known streets, Nux moscata, losing control of thoughts, voice lost, Murphy, confusion, mental, loses his way in well-known streets, as if they would lose consciousness, confused, space and loss of space and time. There's a lot of distortion of time and space and confusion in Nux moscata. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time because you could go on and on and on about how to study the materia medica for each remedy. But it's all there. I want to thank you all for participating. I hope you've got something out of this. I'm planning on doing another talk next month. And we've got a question. Show us how to search a rubric in all remedies again. A rubric in all remedies. Yes. So a rubric in all remedies meaning. So can you rephrase that? A rubric in all remedies. You want to find a rubric. You want to find all the rubrics for a particular remedy. So, could you please type in the question again? I'm more than happy to answer it. I'm just not, let's see. No, I'm not sure about the remedy. Okay. Search a rubric in all remedies. Oh, okay. So you want to find a rubric, a particular rubric. Um, well, let's say let's stick with kind of what we know that we're absent-mindedness. So I'm in the search function, right? Let me just go back. Let me show you again how to get there. Let's search, drop down, advanced search. Okay. I'm in the search function. Let's just say absent-mindedness runs through the case, right? We know that's in the mind chapter. So I want to double check. Let me go to repertories. Let's see what you're saying. Yes. Oh, capricious. Yes. Okay. All right. So you can either you can type it into the search function and there's NER and you go to Schroyen and it'll give you absent-minded all the sub-rubrics. Or let's go to the tab here again. This is your repertory tab. And we don't want Murphy because remember Murphy's laid out a little bit differently than Boger. Boger's laid out a little bit differently than Adonis. So you have to know the nomenclature. So capriciousness. So let's say I don't know how to get to mind capricious. Let me get there first. So I'm just going to type in MIN, right? And you have to make sure if I'm in the search function and I type in MIN, nothing happens. I have to make sure that the tab for the repertories is open and I can either click on the binoculars and I can click on mind, which is slow, or I can just type in MIN, enter, capriciousness. I'm just typing in capriciousness and then press enter. Okay, and this is actually a good rubric here. Right? We know this rejects things for which they've been longing when they're offered. So that's one way to find it, is just to type it in. The other way would be to type in capriciousness. And I have to click on it or enter twice and make sure that it's blue. And then I can just search in the repertories or do search in all documents. But if we're trying to find it in the repertoire, we're finding the rubric. So in Schroyen, you've got 22 entries, capricious and all the sub-rubrics. Murphy's got 17. I'm just clicking on Murphy, capricious children, Boger's and the synoptic key, appetite variable, capricious, and then mood changeable, erratic, fitful, moody, capricious. You can see 16 remedies here. Very useful remedies for capriciousness. Fatak has capriciousness, and then he has a changeable mood, erratic. He's got 23. And then you go to Schroyen and capriciousness 179. You can see the nets are being cast wider and wider as you go along. So let me see. So I answered that. So that's all I had. I hope it's helpful. Again, the main thing is the way that I learned was when I first started off with Radar. Kim Aaliyah used to be the rep, and he would come to the school where I was training, and we'd go over some cases and things like that. But it was just kind of, months and months and years of this kind of figuring out what the layout and then just kind of how to get to where I needed to get. And the main thing to remember are your repertories are here. Okay, I'm clicking. You have all your repertories here. Next one over, you got your references. So I can just kind of scroll down and click on a reference if I want. I click on Boger's synoptic key, and then click on Materia Medica, and then I can just type in the remedy I want. We were just looking at Nux muscata. Click on that, press enter, and there's Nux. The other way to get here was find a rubric with Nux in it. You find a rubric with Nux, you double click on it, Nux Moscata, double click on it, and then it'll take you to this, and then you can go to Boger, Lippe, Allen. And then just remember all the tabs here, these are your tabs that you can activate and go in and start searching around. Right here, this is Materia Medica. This is Boger's book. And the more Materia Medica I have open, there'll be a drop-down window here. So let me just go to references and let me see. Oops. References, let's open Allen and references. Hold on, open up Borland. So now you see here in this tab, there's a drop-down menu. So Borland is open, Allen is open, Boger's open. So the more references I have open, the more books will be here, and I can kind of slide through here and pick the one I want to do. So this tab has everything to do with open references. I can close all those, or I can just, well, this is my repertories. Oh, I currently have this many open. I can go to repertories. I can open up all these other repertories and just have them here available to me as I want. I can close them all. Display as preview. Your patient is going to be here. If you want to get to your tab, your clipboard that you're working on, you double click and here's your clipboard. You can open up multiple clipboards. You can create a second one here and you can toggle back and forth between them. So thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you all for attending. We'll be doing another one next month, and I think the month after that, I'm booked to do 4. So look forward to, we'll do another case and just kind of go through this again. And best of luck to everybody, and have a great day. Thank you.